Okay, everyone, just a little sound check this morning. Let me know if you can hear me. I have not got music on because I was having some bad background noise and didn't want to have all the confusion going on, so I wanted to make sure everything was okay. Let's see here. All right, looks like everybody can hear me. Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. We want to make sure. Yes, I understand, Sam, but this morning there was just a lot of stuff going on. Didn't want to get that. I hate confusion. I don't like confusing sounds. So I could never stand to listen to a radio had static on it either. So I wanted to make sure that we didn't create a problem this morning. So that is now over, and I'm very thankful for that. So good. Good. I'm glad that everybody can hear me. All right. This is Eric. I'm coming to you right now from beautiful downtown Huntsville, Alabama, where we're having a gorgeous fall day. As always, just beautiful weather and enjoying every moment of that. All right, let's see. We have a lot of people who've come on and are introducing themselves, and so I'm going to try to catch up. I've got Ken, and I have Carol from PA. I have Teresa from Asheville, North Carolina. I have Sam, who's from up the road in Tennessee. I have James from Coventry, UK. I have David from the UK. I have Warren. I have Jean Carey. I have Terry Stevenson from Circleville, Ohio. I have David from sunny Florida. I have Jan from Belgium. Cool. I have Al from Chattanooga. And I have Charles from Atlanta. I may have missed a few people already. Well, that's interesting. Herman has registered himself as me. That's interesting, Herman. Now you've thrown me an interesting curve. I'll be like trying to figure out what I'm doing all day long. Because I'll be like, Herman, that's going to be scary. That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny, Herman. I appreciate that. All right, James from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Yes, people haven't being entertained at my expense this morning, which is kind of interesting. It would have been better, though. It's just a good thing that I didn't sing to y'all, because that would have been a complete disaster. I'm sure that you would not have appreciated that. But I'm glad you're all on with us today, and we're going to get started. We're going to kick this thing off and get this Friday webinar rocking and rolling so that you can get into your weekend as soon as possible. Many of you have already put in a full day, and so it's time for us to get started. All right, let's go through our agenda first with the webinar. First thing I want to make sure that everybody understands is that if you have a question, make sure you proceed the question with the 3 Qs or with the question marks. And now we have the trains going by again. So, all right, we'll get through this, no problem. Lots of stuff going on that track today. So make sure that you proceed the questions with the question marks or the Qs so that we'll be able to identify that. If not, we will probably miss the question when the flurry happens. And we're going to talk about that flurry for just a moment. So give you a little webinar basics here, just so everybody will understand. In every webinar, we're going to cover both Usign and GiveSign. Sometimes we're going to cover one of them more than the other one. We may focus on GIFs that day. We may focus on using Usign that day. But we are going to cover both of those in the course of the webinar. So if you hear me talk about GIFsign, then just be patient. We're going to get to Usign. If I'm talking about Usign, be patient. We'll get to GiveSign. So we just want you to understand that we work off of both of those platforms now, and we cover both of those in the webinar as we go. And usually we focus our attention on how do we work them together? How do we make them work at the same time? Stefan, good to have you. Jerry, good to have you joining us. But I want you to understand that if you came on and you're listening for Usign, and I started out by talking about GIFsign, we're going to get to Usign. Don't worry about it. And it'll all be good. So just hang on to that, okay? The next thing is that support questions have to go to support. We cannot handle support questions in the course of the webinar. If we do that, then support questions are very personal. and they deal with your issue rather than an issue that's going on that everybody on the webinar needs to know. So make sure that you take those support questions and you put them into support. And Gloria always posts for us the link for that so that you have that as we go, because we can't be answering support questions for a number of reasons, but mostly we just aren't not going to answer support questions on the webinar. Number 3, your questions are very important to us, but make sure they relate to the day's topic. And you're going to see what the topics are as we go, and make sure that your questions relate to the day's topic. Otherwise the agenda gets badly fragmented, and then you, as the questioner, will end up with taking us in a different direction than what we needed to go. Okay, so the last one is replays are always available in support, but be patient. Sometimes it takes a little while for those to get posted in support. This is the last thing that is done on Friday, and so the weekend interferes with that, and then it takes a little while for us to get that up. So there's a lot more than 2 in the support page, Stefan. So, but if you're not seeing the previous week's webinar there, just be patient. Rose will get to that. She'll put that in there. Rose has done a great job of being able to reproduce the agenda so you know what's inside of the webinar, and it takes a little while to do that. So be very patient with her and understand that it takes a little while for those things to appear in support. Okay, so having said that, Gloria has a document that we have made available to everybody that we thought after the last webinar that what we would do is we would try to find a place to be able to give you some information that's pretty basic and pretty standard. I told you we go through the questions that get asked and we make sure that we have answers to those, and those questions that we answer every single time we have a webinar, we decided to put those in a document and make that document available to you. So Gloria, if you have the link to that Google Drive document, can you post that now so that we have that? And I believe I have it. If I could figure out how to make it available to you, I will do that. So let's see here. All right. David, the question about the picture being pixelated, it depends on what your source is. That's not a Usign issue. That is your source document issue or your source image issue. If you're increasing the size of a picture larger than its original, it's going to pixelate. All right. Now let's talk about that. Gloria's got this document. Gloria, do you have the link for that? Did you get the link out for that? I'm trying to check here to make sure that we have that. Let's see. Okay. All right. She'll get that for you, but this is what it looks like, the common questions and answers for Usign and GIFsign both. And so we've made a PDF that will help you with that. Okay. The next thing is that I continue to get some really, really cool looking images that people are posting in the Usigners group. And so I just wanted to share this one with you. John Redmond Francis has shared with us an image that he made for a client. And so I wanted to make sure that y'all got a chance to see that. Warren, if you're having an issue, somebody please tell Warren to refresh his screen so that the audio will come through. All right. Thank you for that. All right. Great. Just love it when you guys, there's the link to the PDF file. Please click on that link and then stick with us in the webinar. But I want to make sure that you see that so that you've got the information that we were talking about right here in these common questions and answers for Usign and GIFsign, so that we can stay focused on focus all of our attention and energy on the things that we need to do for the webinar. Okay. All right. The next thing is, in the GIFsign community, please share. I'm not seeing very many I'm not seeing very many GIFs being posted in the community, so please share your designs. I'm always interested to see how people are using that, and it helps us. It gives us some direction. It helps inspire us for the things that we do on our Friday webinar. So if you are using GIF sign, please share with us some. Please, no, it's not posted in the group. Please share with us your designs. I'm just really want to see what you're doing with GIF sign, and we want you to share those images. I want to just mention this. This is the same image that I used last week, but I want you to see that how that the mock-ups can help you enhance your designs. This is a great example of how the mock-up helped to create and enhance the design. It was able to create the mood. This is, I took this image here and I wanted to create the mood, and the mock-up allowed me to be able to create the right kind of mood around that. So the mock-ups can be extremely valuable to you, and you get the new mock-ups. If you're part of the template club, you get the new mock-ups with every new version of the program that comes out. That's how we keep you updated on the mock-ups that are available. But make sure that you've looked those over carefully and use them when you're trying to enhance your creations. Do you see how the mock-up around the outside of it, allowing that GIF to play inside of that iPhone? That's actually an iPhone 7, by the way. How it's playing inside of that iPhone, you see how that actually enhances the mood. It does a great job of enhancing the mood that I wanted to create with that particular design. So make sure that you check those out. Look at them very carefully. From that, you'll get some inspiration that will help you to create new GIFs and new designs. Okay, any questions about that, using the mock-ups to enhance your designs? If we get the chance to get to that, I still want to do this. We did not get this done last week, and I still want to give you a chance to ask questions about this using GIF versus a video. And we use that I showed you two different ways to do that. One of them was to do this, which was this lower thirds interest that we had here. And the other one was just simply taking the raw images that I collected from the person's Facebook page, and then we created a, because we can do this with images now, we created a GIF that would just play. And this would look great on somebody's website, giving you a great opportunity to be able to do some cool stuff with that. Okay? Any questions about that? That's about all I'm going to say about GIF sign today. But I do want you to think through how you might be able to use these two things, being able to create a video and using the mock-ups to enhance the background. Okay? Now I have a poll question for you. Y'all ready for a poll question? I need you to help me with something, because this is going to give us some direction here as to what we do next. So the poll question is this: do you own PLR products? Do you own PLR products? Because if you do, put a yes. If you do not, put a no, or just a 1 or a 2. Either way. All right. It looks like the vast majority of you do, and that's good. So what we're going to do with this poll question is I want to show you some cool things that you can do with PLR products using Usign and GIFsign. All right. Now, what triggered this thinking was I was thinking about the templateology, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But I look at my templates like I look at PLR. They're there. They're available. There's going to be a time when I'm going to use them. There's going to be a time when I'm going to take advantage of that. And so I view them in kind of the same way. So it looks like almost everyone has PLR products. So let's talk about using PLR products with Usign and GIFsign. Does that sound like a good plan? Tell me if you think that's a good idea. Is that a good idea? Show you how we can use the PLR products and All right, it looks like the majority of you want to do that. That question keeps coming up about being an attendee. Y'all are in, so hopefully that's good. All right, if you're commenting, then you should be in the webinar. All right, let's talk about the PLR product. So I have this little PLR piece. I looked on my hard drive. I actually have 3 separate places where I store PLR products, and I have a lot of those. And so I looked at this, and this is just one that I happen to have. It's called the 12-point checklist for building an online business. And this is how it looks. That's a screenshot of the cover of that PLR document. Okay. Yes, it stands for private label rights, and we get lots of private label rights. You buy a product, and somebody will give you a private label rights product that goes with it, and they'll throw in 2 or 3 little bonuses, and usually it's a PLR kind of a thing. Okay, and then there are lots of places where you can buy PLR. There's lots of things that you can do with that. Okay, so if you've got the license to use it, then I'm going to show you how to make some enhancements to that might be beneficial to you. Okay, it might also be called white label. It might be called master resale rights. Lots of things that you'll see those things listed under. Okay, so that's the first thing. This is how it looks. Now, I could mock something else up in Usign, and I could do this. Okay, now I think that looks a little bit better than this does. I think it looks a little cluttered, but it looks a little better than this does. So this is a way to enhance this. This looks very, very generic, and by the way, it looks very, very much I apologize for stopping. Apparently, there's an issue with people being able to log in. I posted in the group the same login link that I got, so maybe that was the wrong thing to do. I'm sorry, but it looks like you all are here. Okay, so if I've made a mistake, we'll fix that. Yes, the one in the group apparently has an error, so I will not do that again. All right. Yeah, that may be that's what I did. I shared that link, so I apologize for that. Okay, back to this. The PLR. We're going to take the PLR and we're going to enhance it. So this is a lousy looking cover for this. This is a little bit better, but look what I did when I went to the templates. Okay, I'm looking at my templates. I'm viewing that in much the same fashion as I would typical PLR. This is a little bit better than this, but check out what I did here. All right, I just took a standard template, and I took that template and I created that layout right there. All right, took me almost 20 minutes to do this. It took me about 30 seconds to do this. And this looks much better. Okay, so give me a little feedback as we go. Tell me what you think about just that piece. I've just taken the cover and I've gone from this to this. All right, that's the first thing I want you to see. That's just the first step. All right, the cover means a lot. This is a pretty generic, and it doesn't inspire me to take a look at it. This is much better. All right, this is much better. This is the layout that shows me the advantage of opening this PLR document up. Okay, so I'm going to grab this thing. Now, there's a key word here. What's the key word? You see the same word up here, and remember this. I'm going to give you a big secret right here. Remember this, okay? The key word is checklist. You're exactly right. The checklist, okay? Because the checklist are the most downloaded thing on the internet, because people want to know, if I do this, I can check that off. If I do this, I can check that off. They just want to know, what do I do next? And so a checklist becomes very, very advantageous, okay? So I've highlighted the word checklist here. Now, let me show you what I did when I opened up the document. So I opened up the document. The one on the left is what it looks like straight out of the box. Okay, I didn't do anything except for take a screenshot of this, and look what I did on the right. Which one of the two looks better, the one on the left or the one on the right? Just a little enhancement. Now, all I did here is I just simply took a screenshot and I overlaid it with the image. If I'd done it in the text, I would have done something much fancier than that. But do you see how just doing that in the text made a difference? I mean, this is where Usign becomes a tremendous tool for you to be able to enhance what you're seeing inside. The first one, the first image on the left makes my eyes tired looking at it. The image on the right pulls me into the text. Does that make sense to everybody? I haven't done anything to the text other than made it so that I want to read it. It has inspired me to read it. And I'm using the images to enhance the text. I didn't even change it. I just enhanced it. Okay, so now I've done this. I've changed the cover. That's the first thing that I did. The second thing that I did was I now have enhanced the look of the text on the inside. So that's the next thing. Now, because remind me again, what is this? Put in the chat box there what this is. What is this supposed to be? Remember, this is just a screenshot. I did this just for the purposes of being able to demonstrate this for you. This is a checklist. Because it's a checklist, I went over and I said, okay, I can make an infographic out of this. Okay? I can make an infographic. This is a long, because I had exactly the same question. Teresa, where's the bullet points? Where's the checklist? So I went to the document. It's 12-point checklist. I think the document's 22 pages long, which is not a checklist anymore. This is a full-blown document. And so I decided that I needed it to look more like a checklist on the inside. So this is it right here. It's way too long. So how about an infographic? So now what if I take an infographic and I make a 12-point infographic, and I can put a little arrow going here and I can put a little arrow going there, and I can walk somebody from the idea to the next step. And I can do that graphically in an infographic. So now I've taken the document and I know what to do because the text contains all of the information. Okay? So now I can turn it into an infographic that somebody can put on their wall. All right? And I could do lots of different kinds of cool things with that, but I've now got it in an infographic. So I've taken the checklist, which wasn't really a checklist because it's a 22-page document. I've taken that 22-page document and I've turned it into an infographic that is that is brief and it's easy to follow. It's visually easy to follow. Now, the next thing that I did as I looked at this 22-page document is I said, man, it would be cool if I could put that in a one sheet. So I went over and looked at the flyers. I said, I think I could do something with this. Okay. Now, I haven't done anything with this. I just said, hey, what if we made this into a one sheet? What if we took that document and we created a one sheet out of it and put all of those bullet points, like this one right here starts with the idea, took all those bullet points and we listed them here in this one sheet. We changed this image up here at the top. We got rid of this guy at the side. We modified this a little bit. We gave the reasons why you should have this piece of this checklist. And down here, we gave you what the checklist was. Starts with the idea, goes to the next step, the next step, the next step. So now now I have taken this piece of content that I had, this piece of PLR. I've now started to personalize it. I put my own cover on the outside of it, put my name on the cover of that. If I have the rights to do this. Keep in mind, I'm not telling you to break anybody's rules. I'm trying to get you to play by the rules, but I'm showing you what to do when you have the rights to do that. And then I modified the content on the inside by enhancing it so it looked more visually appealing to get people to go through that. Then I created an infographic out of it. So now I've been, and by looking at the templates, it gave me the inspiration to create an infographic out of that. Now I've taken that same content and I've put it into a very simple, easy to follow checklist. Boom, 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 boom. And I start with the idea and I walk through the process of doing that, all 12 points. And then the next thing is I can create a Facebook ad out of it. And I've now got a bundle of stuff that I can use. I've got an infographic. I've got a one-sheet checklist. I've got the details. Okay. And I'm starting to pull all of those pieces together. Let me see what Al's question is. You turned the PDF into a pic, and then and when one turned it back into a PDF. Actually, here I just did this just for the purpose of being able to illustrate what I was doing here. Okay. So now I have grab your copy today, and I've got this checklist, and we can put it in a checklist, and we can make a one page out of it. Then we could sell the whole thing into a detailed bundle of stuff. I've got an infographic, and I've got a one sheet checklist, and I've got the entire PLR, the whole document. Okay, and then I could also create a mind map out of it. And you can make a mind map real easily in Uzine by simply putting the pieces where they go, and you can create a mind map, and you can give the flow for how that document goes. And so a mind map would be great to go with this checklist, because this checklist is a sequential checklist. You start here, you do this, then you do this, then you do this. And so it follows in that binary fashion that way. Okay. And then I created a Facebook ad out of it. Now, guess what? But all of these tools are all available inside of Uzine. And all of them fit in that. What am I going to do? Well, I've got this little piece. Every one of you said you got PLR. Okay. That's a good question, Carol. And let me remember, I'll show you how to do that in Uzine. I'm just doing it graphically, okay, which is basically what you do with the mind map anyhow. So let me cover that. And I'll show you how to create some really cool looking mind maps inside of there. All right. So now I've created a Facebook ad for it. The next thing is I'm going to create a web banner. I took the same stuff, grabbed it, moved it over, put it into a web banner. All right. Did all of that in about 15 minutes this morning. So I went from my inspiration piece right here, and I stepped through the process. Okay, I'm not really happy with that. Let's just grab one off of from the templates. And I was really happy with that. I then thought about what am I going to do with inside of the document. There's a lot of cool things you could do inside the document. Okay, if you had just the raw text, you could do that. You could modify that raw text and be able to insert those. I use Google Docs. You know, nothing fancy, just use Google Docs and insert my images inside of it, and then do that. Now, for my cover, okay, I use a PDF generator that requires you to use their cover. I make their cover transparent, put my image there, and away we go. I'm very pragmatic. I do things in a very pragmatic fashion. And so I make it work. And you can do that. And maybe we'll cover that at some other point or something different. So Warren's asking the question, go all the way to the possible sale. That's the reason why I threw this in, is so that you would remember, hey, there is a way to sell this, okay? You could walk through the steps. You could actually turn this into something that you could turn around and create a Facebook ad for, or you could create a Twitter ad, or you could create an Instagram ad. You could do all of those things with the tools that you've been given and you have available to you in Uzine. And so we've taken that document, which was a 22-page document, which is a 12-point checklist, and broken that down into a number of different pieces. We have the document now that we've recreated the cover on that. We've made the enhancements to the inside of the content so that it looks visually appealing. Now we've turned it into an infographic as well. We turned it into a one-sheet checklist that you could use as a giveaway or a lead magnet or a tripwire. We've created a Facebook ad that goes with that. We've created a web banner so you can put that on your website, linking people to the sale of that PLR package. And you could also visually record that. You or verbally record it. You could record the content on the inside. You could create you could walk somebody through the process step by step using a screen capture software, and you can run a lower third like we were talking about earlier. And you can do a lot of things to enhance that using Usign or GIFsign. You could actually create your infographic, and you could create a GIF walking people through the infographic. All kinds of things that you can do. You can take one piece of content and turn it into all kinds of stuff. All right, any questions? We're getting lots of comments here, and I think this is pretty cool. So Pete says that he's liking the info and been wondering about how to do this for years. And honestly, I agree, Gloria. I think making the GIF, just showing how the walking somebody through the infographic is usually better than having this gigantic infographic for that, okay? Yeah, you can take the infographic and turn it into a GIF. And I showed you how to do that a while back. I actually took a screen. I did the screen capture in the GIFsign. Took the screen capture software in the GIFsign, and well, while we're talking about that, this brings us to the end. We're going to talk about tips and tricks. Let's move on, and we'll do that, okay? We'll turn that into a GIF. So give me a chance here to stop sharing my screen, and I will take you to that because I think this is kind of a cool, I wanted to do something with GIFsign, and this is a cool thing to do with it today. So let me load that up into my player here, and I'll have that for you here in just a second. All right. What I'm going to have to do is something I really don't like to do. I don't like to share my entire screen. But in order for this to work, I'm going to have to. Okay, so everybody stick with me here. What we're going to do, I'll remove the agenda. I'll open up I will open up one of these infographics, and we will actually turn that into a GIF so that you'll see how to do that. Here's the infographic software, or the infographic templates. So we'll go to the templates. I'll just pick the first one. We'll use it. Are y'all seeing my Usign screen? I want to make sure you're seeing the right screen. Let me know if you're seeing the correct screen. Okay, good. All right, now this is a little bit small, so it is harder to do this with, but I want you to see what we're going to do right here. I'll put that right there like that. Put it right here, and I'm going to grab my GIFsign, and I go to record screen. Are y'all seeing the steps involved so far? I'm going to record the screen, and I'm going to move my screen recorder so that it's on my image. Just like that. Can you see that? All right, now I'm going to turn the recorder on, and I'm going to start recording. And I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to start moving this down. And my scrolling is going to be a little bit funky. But I can scroll down just like that. Okay? Shut that off. That took 19 seconds to do that from beginning to end. Now, that pulls that into here. Are y'all seeing my GIF sign screen? It pulls it into there. And I can now play this. Give it a second, it'll render that. And now my beginning and my end are a little funky because I had to start and switch and turn on and turn off and that kind of thing. But now you see this playing as a GIF. How many of you think that's a cool idea? You take an infographic turned into a GIF. I'm not going to ask you how many of you would have thought to do that, but I think it's a cool idea, all right? So that's the first thing. Now I'm going to save this. I'm saving it. Because infographics are difficult to read, but they're fun when you can turn them into a GIF. Okay? Now I can make this really fun. So I go over to my mockups, and I'm going to find a mockup that seems appropriate. Now, any of these look pretty cool, okay? But I want to maximize my view of this, so I want to do this so it looks good, all right? So I'm looking for the most appropriate place to put this. I think this is kind of cool, so we're just going to preview this. Earlier I talked about making sure that your mockups enhance. This one might even be better, so that your mockups enhance the GIF that you've created. And this is a good way to do that. This is a good place for you to be able to see this. So we'll let that render, and when it finishes rendering, you're going to see how this is going to play inside of that mockup. Now I promise you, if you take that piece of PLR, you put this, and you take this infographic that I just created right here, this GIF of the infographic, and you put that on your sales page, you're going to have higher conversions with it. I want to be careful saying how I said that. You will have higher conversions, but I can't promise you'll have any conversions. It depends on how you use the PLR. Okay, that's probably a better way to say that. Yeah, I just put my infographic on a billboard. How cool is that? I mean, honestly, I think that's a pretty cool idea. I liked it. Okay, any questions or comments? Do you see how I did that? Do you see how cool that is and how important that is? Do you, again, see the reason why we do the GIF sign and Usign webinars together? Because they become great tools to go together. I want to be careful about conversions, but it's definitely going to increase retention. It's going to catch people's attention. And when you've got that playing on your sales page or on your landing page or your squeeze page or whatever it is you want to call it, you've got that playing there, and you don't have to turn anything on. It just plays. Pretty cool idea. Pete, I agree. Combined together, they become incredible tools. And by the way, some cool stuff coming out, but I can't tell you what it is. I've seen it, but I can't tell you what it is. You got things to look forward to. I'm excited about the weeks to come. I'm really excited about the weeks to come because you think it's cool now. But that's how you do that, okay? Can you make the GIF clickable? Can't you? No, the GIF. If you make it clickable, what you're doing is you're starting and stopping the GIF. Okay, you're starting and stopping the GIF. You have to create a link to it and then you can make it clickable. But mostly you're starting and stopping the GIF. Okay, and the thing I found, the best thing I have found, Warren, is to have at the bottom down here, just below your GIF where it's playing on your WordPress site, is to have a big buy button or take action button or a call to action button of some kind. That's a good question, Gaynor. Do I save the GIF as a different file from the one that I made? So see this little down arrow button right here? I click that down arrow button and it gives me the option of doing this, and I'm going to call this the GIF Webby, okay? And now I've saved that with that name on it. So the first thing that I did was I saved it so that I could pull it into my mockups. So when I go back to GIF sign here, here's my GIF right here, and it's identified as a GIF at the top. I click on the mockups button, and then in that mockup, I do what I did a minute ago, and that is I download that particular mockup. You can do that, Jay, when you're using it on an ad. All right. In WordPress, you have to put a link inside of WordPress to make it work. Okay. But then from here, right here, then I've got the little down arrow key here. When I click on that down arrow key, it gives me the option of being able to give it a name. And then when I download it, go over here and I pull this up. And there it is. Okay. That's my original right there. All right. Any questions about that? All right. If there are no further questions about that, let's go back over to this site right here. Are y'all seeing my canvas now for Uzine? I can't see what you're seeing, so I have to make sure that I'm seeing the right canvas here. Okay, so this is, I'll kind of give you some of the steps right here. Right here, what I did for this was I simply took a screenshot. Again, I took a screenshot of this. I blew it up so it was easier to see, and put that, put this little overlay on it so that you could have that, so you could see what I did with it. Now, it would be far better if I just created these images and then dropped them into the raw text, and I could do that inside of I do it inside of Docs, but Google Docs, but you could do it inside of a word processing platform that allowed you to be able to add images to it. Okay. Michael, let me address that while we're right there. The learning curve with GIF sign is really not as steep as you think it is. I have been shocked how easy it was for me to use. It's the reason why I've fallen in love with the platform is because it's really not difficult to use. It took me a little while, but not nearly as long as I thought it would. Okay. It's not as big of a learning curve. Okay, so this was the steps right here. I went through that process. This was just a standard template. I grabbed that and I just changed the text that was there, changed the size a little bit, put my name down here at the bottom, and now I've personalized that piece of PLR. If I have the rights to do that, keep that in mind. It's something that you got to make sure that you have the right to do that with, and then I showed you the steps for going through and creating an infographic out of that. And then again, let me go back to David's question. Yeah, I agree. The cinemagraphs will take a little bit longer. You have to find the perfect image to do that with. That's where it gets more complicated than anything. And it's much easier to do now. The cinemagraphs are much easier to do now than they were before. So let me address David's question. When you have an image that's got big graphics on it, and you're trying to pull an image into that picture, or try to pull a picture into that image, and the picture itself to begin with wasn't very big. I was trying to get my images loaded up here. When your original image was not that big to begin with, then it's going to pixelate it no matter what. And there's nothing that you can do that's going to change that. That has to do with the size of your image. And we have this come up a lot. A lot of people ask the question, how come Uzon's distorting my image? It's not. You're trying to make this small image big. And when you do that, it's going to automatically pixelate that. Okay. And so, trying to think of a good example that I have here. This is a good example. This image right here, if I try to make this image any bigger, then it's going to begin to pixelate that image. I need to keep that image pretty close to the size. This is not going to be an issue with this one, but I need to keep it pretty close to the size that it is when I import it. Okay, because if it's too small, you're going to run into trouble. Yeah, the source image resolution is extremely important. Probably run into that question a lot. People think that it's the program, and it's not. It's your source image. And if you grab a source image someplace that's 432 by 360, and you try to make it into something that's 1400 by 1400, it's going to look terrible because your source image was too small to begin with. All right. That being said, and it does depend on other factors like the DPI as well. All right, so see how you did the infographic? We went through that. I showed you. Did you see what I did on this infographic? I moved this up here like this. Now you have a little red bar. Can you see the red box that goes around this? You click in that. That's what I did to scroll. So that's how I scrolled using my screen capture from GIFsign. Is I opened up this enlargement window down here, and then I scrolled through it using that red box around the outside of that tool that people forget that we have all the time. Okay, so that was how I did that. Now, this was a template that I had out. Let's get to this one right here. And then again, I'll show you how we did this because this is really important. I took this image. All right, let's get rid of the stuff on the outside. That's what I was looking for. That's the banner size. That's that 350 by 240 or whatever that is. This is your web banner size for fitting in your widget boxes on your WordPress sites. And so I had originally made that as a Facebook template. Okay, so let me go up here to Facebook. I originally made this as a Facebook ad medium size. Now you see what happens to this image? It's too small. All right, so if I grab this, it's all I'm moving is the background here. But what I did was, let me get rid of all of this and we'll start over again. What I did was I got my image in the largest size that I wanted, and I saved it as a group. That's it right there. And I saved it as a group. So the Facebook medium size ad is a big size. Look at the size of this. It is 1200 by 628. So that's a good size image, as big as anything that I'm going to use anywhere. So if I want to change that image into something else, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to change the size, and I'm going to have to play with the image itself. Okay, so if I want to make that into into my Facebook, let's don't do that. If I wanted to make that into over here at LinkedIn, all right, we have changed that size so that it now has the correct aspect ratio. So I'll use this as an example. When I bring this in, it's perfect for that. It fits just fine. It's perfect for this. Okay. And I now have got this the right size for that. Now, I can post this in LinkedIn. This is the perfect size to post this in LinkedIn. Put a link on it, going to my landing page. My landing page has got the infographic as a GIF that I created. And do you see how you put all those pieces together? So now I've got it as a LinkedIn status. All right, let's go back over here and let's now take that and we're going to make a web banner out of it. All right, so we've got lots of options for my web banner. And one of those options is to have it as a square pop-up. Look what happens when I do that. It's too small. So what I'm going to do is I'll grab this image again, and this time I'm going to show the off-screen elements. I want all three of those pieces. I want all three of those elements. I want the grab your copy, I want the background, and I want the book cover. I want all three of those, but I want it so that it fits. Just one problem. It doesn't fit. You see that? I can't make it fit. So what do I do if it doesn't fit? I ungroup it. People always ask me, well, how do I make that work? You ungroup it. That's the first thing that you do. Ungroup it. Make my sizes a little bit bigger here so that it's easier for me to see. I get down these smaller images. They're hard for me to see. Now, the problem with this one is going to be that the outline around the outside, the border around the outside of that makes that look funky. So I'm going to have to get rid of the border right here and do that with it. All right. Sometimes you got to make your images work for you. Now, this background image, I'm going to lose part of it just because of the nature of the size. But I wanted to keep those things together. Now, hey, wait a minute. I just remembered I've got a bunch of desk elements. So I can grab a desk element over here. And I can include that desk element and make this look better for the stuff that I lost off the edge of the screen. Are you with me? Remember when Usign offered the desk elements? Please tell me you remember that. Because the desk elements become very handy to have. So now I can put this over here. I can put a shadow on this. You can make that shadow go the same direction as the shadows going on here. Now, how's that look? Did y'all follow that? I love the desk elements. They are so helpful. And you can make a quick adjustment there. All right. That brings me to everything that we've covered so far, except for the mind map. So yes, except for the mind map. And I was just checking my list. So let's do this. We're going to get rid of everything on the screen. We'll change this. Now I want my mind map to be a particular size that works well for me. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to make it 1800 by 1600. Okay. So there's my mind map background. I want to put a nice background to it. So I'm going to grab a textured background here, but I want to keep it fairly light. So I'm just going to grab this one, and then I'm going to do something that I encourage you to do all the time, and that is you can reduce the opacity on this, making it look pretty cool. So you see what happens when you do that? Now, I like the way that looks. So now we're going to take that right here, going to go over to my graphics, and I'm going to go to the vector graphics and under elements. And if I could show you, I won't, but if I could show you the walls of my house, you would see that I do way too much of this. I doodle all over the walls. I cover them with paper, but I doodle all over the walls because I'm a mind mapping maniac. And I can create a really cool looking mind map here. And I can go call this my main idea. Main idea. And this is going to begin to look like I had this to begin with. I like to use different colors in my mind map. And so I just start through the process like this. Now, I need to reproduce this, and I'm going to draw a number of those. And so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I have and we go over here to go back up here to the elements, and we pick an arrow. And I can grab the arrows and I can turn them so that they go together, and I want to flip that one around that way. And I begin constructing my mind map like this, dropping my elements in there. Does that make sense? Carol, are you starting to get the concept here? You have to create it, you know, but I love being able to use something that looks like I wrote this. It looks like I doodled it. It looks like I did that. And I can make the ideas bigger, smaller. I can visually show those like this. And I can go through this and show them. If this was a bad idea, then all I have to do is change the color, okay? Or I can fade it out, or I can do whatever I want to do with it. But do you get the concept here? That's what you can do to create a mind map. And you can really have some fun with that. You know, if you're going to do something that you're going to keep for a while, you want to be able to have something cool. And I really like the doodles that you can do with this, okay? Because sometimes this is how my ideas come. They come like this. I didn't get a straight line to get from here to there. That's an easy way to illustrate that. But you get my point, correct? I think you do. So yes, the answer is you can make a mind map. And you can have a lot of fun making it. You can make a gorgeous mind map if you want to. Trust me, Carol, we got a lot of things that we're thinking about how to do. So, but this is a pretty cool way to do this. Yeah, exactly. I agree, Gene. And when we don't have the interruptions, we have more information. So, thank you for that. All right. Anything else before we close? I've tried to give you opened up the gates here, made this work, and did some pretty cool stuff. So. Anything else that we need to take a look at this morning before we go? Because this has been a great time. It may still contain another circle inside of it. Yes, it does. That's correct. I did multiple duplications there. Good find. Good find. All right. Anything else? If not, then we're ready to go, folks. Hopefully you've got the document that Gloria and I put together for you. And I'm not going to tell you this week. We're still testing, and once the testing is done, we can give you that information, okay? But we try to, that's one reason why we slow down on telling you what's coming up, is because sometimes we've got tests that have to go through. And when you get something as big as Usign has become, one little tweak over here can make a gigantic difference somewhere else that you don't find. So always something important to make sure that all testing is done first. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for being on today. I appreciate your questions, your comments, all of the good stuff that you've asked and shared as we've gone. And so, very, very good. I hope you all have a great, weekend, and a wonderful, wonderful, safe time as you spend that with your family and your friends. And I will be right back here next week. Same time, same place, just like always, okay? Thank you again for coming on, and hopefully we'll have some cool stuff to share with you next week. All right, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.